60 years. That's how long England has been chasing a feeling they only had once. Right now, as you're watching this, England is one win away from a World Cup final. And if they pull it off, this country is about to change for about 6 weeks in ways almost nobody expects. Not just parties, not just parades, real, measurable, slightly ridiculous changes to the economy, to politics, to how an entire generation of kids grows up. So let's talk about what actually happens the moment that final whistle blows. Here's the thing most people forget. England won the World Cup exactly once in 1966 on home soil against West Germany. Since then, they've come close a few times, semifinals here and there, heartbreak on penalties more than once. An entire nation has learned to expect disappointment right at the final hurdle. That's the backdrop. 60 years of near misses, and now, in the summer of 2026, England has fought through the group stage, survived a wild round of 16 against Mexico, and just beaten Norway in the quarterfinals. Next up is Argentina in the semifinal. Win that, and there's a final waiting on July 19th. So what actually happens if they go all the way? Let's break it down. First, the money. This sounds boring. It isn't. A World Cup win doesn't just make people happy, it makes the economy do something strange. Economists have tracked this for decades. When a country wins a major tournament, spending jumps almost overnight. Pubs sell out. Supermarkets can't restock beer fast enough. Merchandise sales spike so hard that factories in Asia get emergency orders within hours of the final whistle. One estimate from England's 2018 semi-final run alone put the economic boost from extra retail and hospitality spending in the hundreds of millions of pounds, and that was just for reaching a semi-final. Winning the whole thing would push that number even higher. Here's the interesting part. Some of that boost even shows up in productivity numbers, except backwards. Offices empty out, people call in sick. Productivity actually drops the day after a win because half the country is nursing a hangover and refusing to feel bad about it. Second, there's a very real chance of a public holiday. This has happened before in other countries. When a nation wins the World Cup, government leaders sometimes announce a bank holiday, partly to celebrate, partly because nobody's showing up to work anyway. It's happened in France, it's happened in Argentina. If England wins, there will be enormous public pressure on the Prime Minister to do the same thing. And that's where most people get confused, because a UK bank holiday isn't as simple as just announcing one. It usually needs formal government process, but the political pressure would be massive. Refusing to give people a day off after 60 years of waiting would be, politically speaking, a very bad look. Third, think about what happens to the players themselves. Right now, most of this England squad are just very good footballers, talented, well-paid, mostly recognized by football fans. Win the World Cup, and that changes completely. They become national symbols. Their faces go on stamps, murals, tabloid front pages for years. Whoever scores the winning goal in the final becomes a piece of permanent English folklore, the way Geoff Hurst still is from 1966, 60 years later. That's actually insane when you think about it. One moment, 90 minutes of football, and your name gets attached to a country's identity forever. Fourth, and this one's sneaky, the win reshapes English football itself for years afterward. Winning nations tend to see a surge in youth participation. Kids sign up for local football clubs in huge numbers right after a national team wins something big. The FA would likely lean hard into this moment, using it to fund grassroots programs and push participation, especially in underfunded areas. In theory, a World Cup win today shapes the next generation of English players a decade from now. Fifth, let's talk politics, because a national trophy always gets political, whether people like it or not. Whoever's prime minister at the time gets an automatic, if temporary, popularity boost. It's a strange but well-documented pattern. National sporting success tends to lift approval ratings for sitting governments, even though the government had nothing to do with the actual football. It's not fair, it's not logical, it happens anyway. Expect statements from number 10 within minutes of the final whistle. Expect an invitation to Downing Street for the team. Expect it to dominate news cycles for days, pushing actual policy news off the front page entirely. Sixth, the cultural moment. This is the one people actually feel. City centers fill with strangers hugging each other. Flags appear on cars that never had flags before. Office group chats turn into pure chaos. For one night, and honestly for weeks afterward, an entire country that usually complains about everything agrees on exactly one thing. That's the part statistics can't capture, the shared memory. Ask anyone old enough and they can tell you exactly where they were in 1966. Even people who weren't born yet, because their parents told the story so many times, it became their own memory too. Then everything changes again, because here's the twist nobody talks about. The pressure doesn't disappear after a win, it flips. Right now, England carries the weight of 60 years without a trophy. Win it, and suddenly they carry the weight of being defending champions, expected to do it again in 4 years. Ask Spain, Germany, or France how that pressure feels. Winning a World Cup doesn't end the story, it just starts a new, harder one. So here's where we land. If England wins the 2026 World Cup, the country doesn't just celebrate for a night. The economy shifts, the government reacts, football participation spikes, an entire generation of players becomes legendary overnight, and a 60-year wait finally, actually ends. And somewhere right now, a kid is about to fall in love with football because of a moment that hasn't even happened yet. If England does go all the way, remember this feeling, because in 4 years, they'll be chasing it all over again. If you enjoyed this, subscribe for more videos like this.